Yeah, contrary to last week, which is still in the editing stage because of the complexity of the topic, and which kind of felt like I was in the trenches of a war. This film feels like it's almost as if you gotten yourself out of a war, and I believe we're glad. So let's get ourselves cracking here. All right. By 1947, after a bunch of compilation features, the last of which was to be a combo between The Wind and the Willows and The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, which did reasonable box office, Walt Disney felt he really needed to get back in the game and produce a big hit like Snow White. Given how that was his only big hit so far in Disney history. He had compilation features, a small number of live action projects, and true life adventures and nature documentaries, but they only gave enough profit to just last the studio a while rather than just simply having it expand so Walt could let his imagination run wild. Right now, Walt Disney Productions was in the red. He figured he needed to make a movie like Snow White again, and once again, go back to the fairy tale well. What he was choosing just happened to be his favorite fairy tale, Cinderella, originating from Charles Perrault. There you go. Walt wanted to do Cinderella ever since 1938, but had all this other stuff to do. He may have been skeptical of doing another feature, and so was his brother Roy. A lot of talent was lost at the studio during the war and the post-war years. He did prep Cinderella at the same time they were working on Alice in Wonderland, working to get it ready for a late 1941 release after receiving a script treatment from his veteran storyman. Of course, Cinderella, as it turns out, the way it was produced, it was not quite the same level of technical impressiveness as Snow White was. They couldn't afford experimentation. They couldn't afford extra imagination like the early features had. They couldn't really even do impressive multiplane camera shots like they did in Bambi. As a result, the whole film was shot in live action and then sent to the animators as a point of reference for precisely how everything was going to go in the film. Even the animation style was different, more minimalist, less fluid, more simplistic character design. But one element, however, stood out: the visual design. Walt Disney hired Mary Blair to conceptualize the production in an almost greeting card style. And boy, the sets on this film are amazing because the castle looks so super duper massive. I mean, it just staggers the imagination how big that place is. I mean,
and continue, Jordan.
Pretty crazy though. It does inspire the imagination.
Yeah. Mary Blair may have been the first woman in Disney history to have a significant say in how a movie was going to look. Happy International Women's Month. Ben Sharpstein, who supervised the direction of the production, felt this was different because Walt wasn't exactly there to supervise every detail of the production. For the first time, a Disney animated feature credited the acting talent, but they didn't specifically say which character they played. It also marked one of the earliest film projects for legendary voice actress June Foray. Yes, I have her autograph.
Wow, that's
and
awesome.
Yes, she provided the noises for Lucifer the cat, and June Foray would go on to play Rocky the Flying Squirrel along with Granny on Looney Tunes. I had the distinct pleasure of seeing original drawings from the iconic gown transformation scene in the film. One of the archivists said that because of the detail and drapery and effects animation seen in the shot, he declared Cinderella his favorite Disney princess. Not exactly a response from someone who might relate better to Princess Leia and Star Wars. So there I was, seeing original artwork from something that was quite literally my childhood. And the iconic shot of the ball gown reveal that I was seeing the original effects drawings and Cinderella's drawings
Wow.
are the most iconic shots in cinematic history, possibly. That, my friend, is cinematic perfection. And Cinderella, a fantastic movie in my opinion, which marketing called Walt's greatest since Snow White, was finished up in the fall of 1941 and headed to ink and paint for post-production. Walt told his employees, "Boys, if Cinderella doesn't make it, we're through." It opened in February 1950, and for many audiences, it was a Disney relief after a string of disappointments. Roy Disney once wrote to Disney, "I feel stronger than ever that we should do in the United States and Canada a minimum of $5 million. I wouldn't be surprised if we hit $6 million. It is the talk of the business." Cinderella would make $7.9 million at the box office in its first run and generate a bunch of sales and merchandise and music. It cost $2.2 million to make, which inevitably led Walt to make a wild decision. He would produce live action films like his adaptation of Treasure Island from 1950 just to keep his animated stuff going, considering just how expensive animation was to make at that time. He also began getting interested in a new medium that was taking America and first world countries by storm. Can anyone tell me what that was?
Cracker Jacks.
No,
Stop motion.
it was called television. In post-war America, television was taking off, and people could now watch movies in their own living rooms. It also convinced Walt to somehow create a TV special called 1 Hour in Wonderland, which was aired on NBC on Christmas Day in 1950, the first Disney television production and the first time Walt Disney himself ever appeared on TV.
Was this on like the American Broadcasting Channel or something?
No, in a national broadcasting channel, NBC. Not ABC, NBC. There were only like 3 channels back then. And for a moment, it felt like there were only 4, considering that Dumont was actually a channel, believe it or not. But it's now defunct. So he debuted his mustachioed business suit wearing larger-than-life persona that many people now look at him with today. It would also be a show critical and crucial to getting the word out for his next animated feature production. So, next week, the world around us jumps into a trippy fantasy where nothing makes sense and everyone is just plain mad.
Alice in Wonderland?
Yep.
Exactly.
So I already gave you my feelings on the film because I know iconic stuff like this is just perfection. But then I feel Lady Tremaine is a great villain because I mean I don't really. It's someone who has such complete control over someone else's life makes for a good villain. And just to let you know, this is the second animated feature where a prince is named Prince Charming. I mean, like Snow White had Prince Charming and Cinderella had Prince Charming. And
like they weren't clever with guy names and stories. Weird.
Yeah. and just a little tidbit, I kind of had a tendency to try to strive so extremely hard for perfection, to try to do all my work and chores and stuff so hard just because Cinderella is being pushed so hard just to serve her own stepmother and stepsisters and all that stuff. But then it's not real. It's still a fairy tale. I mean, there's something you have to think about. As for
I don't know. I mean, with the family of abuse is still a real thing. When you know where to find the details in real life.
Oh,
It's true.
Yeah. Well, well, I even got a habit of blowing out my candles in a specific way from this one movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when the mice try to charge a candle towards Lucifer, Lucifer just slyly just takes a buff like this, and then just blows the candle out like that. And that scene stuck with me for so long. I just had a tendency to blow out my candles that way, and
That's
it got to the point where I got like 31 candles or something like that, or 30 candles in one puff. Like
wow.
I got 30 candles in just one puff, like Lucifer from Cinderella was able to pull off.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, of course. As for you two ladies, you can give me your thoughts on the movie because I already gave you my thoughts.
Yeah, this movie is so nostalgic for me. This is like classic peak childhood. And I was definitely Cinderella for some Halloweens. And so it's a very classic, nostalgic childhood movie for me. And you know how we've covered before, like the Swedish Christmas Disney
Yeah.
compilation, the sewing scene, and when they're fixing up the dress is in that compilation in Swedish. So that song in my head is like usually in Swedish, not as much in English, but it's, yeah, we love it. It's very cute.
Oh yeah. So what about you, Sarah? I always said Mary Blair was such a big influence in the production and how this production looks.
Well, yeah, I mean, well, sure. I mean, but I think for the sake of International Women's Month, I mean, yeah, it shouldn't be the only one credited. I mean, like you said, I mean, it was the first time that the actors started doing the voices were credited on screen.
Yeah, I already told you that. Vera Elton, I believe, is the voice of the fairy godmother, and who voices Cinderella? Eileen Woods.
Mm-hmm.
No way.
Yes,
I didn't realize they weren't credited before this.
Weren't credited before, but now they're suddenly credited now. I mean, Walt has to move forward this time. I mean, Disney itself has to move forward. Almost as if, because, you know, like the other live action movies would just.
But like I said, I mean, well, I've been like saying over and over again, I mean, the system is egalitarian at best. I mean, yeah, there was a long time that the colorists weren't really credited because that'd be like, you know, too many names to put on screen.
Oh man. Going down. Oh man, that's I mean,
That's what they're pronouncing that word, right?
I'm just amazed at Mary Blair's style. She would do the style for the next movie and the movie after that. And
well, just on that one more thing, one day. Yeah, I have some more things to say. I mean, like with you two. I mean, it's yeah, I think my sister and I have watched that Disney film more than any of the other princess-related films. I mean, especially like the story arc dynamic with Jacques and Gus. Like you got.
I relate to those
nice
sidekicks so
eyes
much. It's like, yeah, I am the sidekicks. I've seen think I'm the sidekick more than just the princess, because it's like, I know I'm a guy, so I mean I'm not a mouse, but I am a guy. So these Jack and Gus were totally guys. So it's like, I sympathize with their little struggle to just try to make it into the world, or at least they actually help their own the protagonist, their own journey, and sidekicks are supposed to be useful in that way. I'm
Jordan, if you let me finish my sentences first before you start rambling.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, I was just saying that yeah, there was special design for the fairy godmother that was modeled after I think her name is Mary Alice O'Connor. I mean, they have like a whole bonus segment of that on the Plus.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, her husband was doing like all these visual designs for Cinderella, including what was argued to be one of Walt's favorite sequence. He built a model instead of designing what the pumpkin turned into carriage would look like.
Wow, that's cute. Is that a coffee cup?
Yeah, I had that collectible for my sister Jackie. So
I love it.
Oh yeah. You also like my autograph of June Foy, right?
Yeah, super cool. You guys have lots of props for this call.
Yeah,
yes, I
props.
mean I have to give some of these back to the family, which I'm sure the actors yeah, would say hello in advance if they could. I mean, yeah, I have invited my sisters to be in on this, but yeah, Jackie's quite busy and is certain that with given the current ages of my nephew and niece,
True. Just
I
got our
might
hands
be ready
full.
to handle the recording contents that we're doing right now.
Makes sense.
I mean, and yeah, it's still nostalgia for me. I already told you it was definitely childhood, and it's especially surreal for me to actually see actual drawings from the movie.
Yeah,
And,
that's crazy.
I mean that I love that. So
Me too.
so
So
yeah,
anyway,
we are gonna
you
take
also like the Cinderella castle in Disney World?
yeah,
Yeah,
Disney World,
iconic.
the
Mhm.
Cinderella Castle in Disney World.
Yeah,
And,
it's
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm sure it's called that because I've actually been like under the tunnel before where they actually have like these mosaic signs that would tell the story of
no
Cinderella's
way.
story.
mhm.
I've never been inside, I don't think,
I
but
don't really think I've been inside. But just to let you know, around this
outside.
time, Walt was suddenly gunning for live action all of a sudden. I mean, he was
He's becoming an entrepreneur, that's for sure.
yeah, because live action for some odd reason is still cheaper to make than animation, and unfortunately, animation is well, there's good news, however. GDT's Pinocchio won Best Animated Feature this year at the Oscars.
The Glimero. Anyway, I better get going and try to figure out what else we could do with my family around here.
Enjoy your birthday week, Sarah. Happy late
Enjoy your
birthday.
birthday week. Happy birthday, Sarah.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye, Jordan.
Bye.
See you guys.
See you this weekend. Later.
Later.
Bye.